Not at all. Why is that? Do you not shop there?
Huh?
Do you not shop there?
What's that mean?
When you need to get, like shampoo and conditioner or
Groceries.
yeah.
In Loblaws or Shoppers Drug Mart.
I do in afternoon.
Oh, I didn't understand. What did you say?
I go in the afternoon. I go.
Shopping?
I go in the afternoon.
In the afternoon. It's probably a little bit cooler than it is this morning.
Which is a very hot day.
Yes.
Very
So
hot.
I got to call you this morning.
Well, it's very nice of you to call.
Thank you, Ernest.
Awesome.
At 12 o'clock today.
We'll keep going till about noon, and I think that,
There's another show after us, back-to-back show today.
yeah, the Mark Manuel show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
the guy I saw telling the computer, is it here?
Yeah, he'll be back this week. The same guy as last week.
Yeah, you see him, guy, try and call him back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, call maybe around 1
Yeah,
for
let
his
him
show.
let him get started and call him when like exactly the way you just did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ernest. Bye. Bye. Oh, there's some, yeah. Let's go to the back.
Oh, to the back.
Checking him out.
Do you see them, Ernest? Do you see them?
There we go.
I see you.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you for
so-
watching.
Thank you. Give us a call a little later. Around.
Kiss a hi to me.
For sure. And we'll say hi to you again later. Sounds good? Okay. Bye. Bye.
It's always nice to get friendly phone calls.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so I do shop at Shoppers.
I do as well.
And when I was a teenager, I actually, my dad and my brother liked to talk about stock market stuff. And I was like, I want to buy stocks in Shoppers Drug Mart because I use Shoppers Drug Mart every weekend. And they thought I was really dumb because I wasn't actually, and I hear some snickers over here too. But so tell me about why Loblaws decided that they wanted to buy Shoppers.
Loblaws is actually Canada's largest food distributor. And what they're trying to do is get into other markets, such as pharmaceutical. Because Loblaws, you can get drugs from Loblaws, but apparently it's only 5% of their revenue is with their pharmaceutical products. So they decided to merge with Shoppers and get Shoppers, pretty much their customers, their loyal customers, to kind of shop with Loblaws and grow that pharmaceutical industry in their company. And the Loblaws owners, they actually own a few things. I know that they have, excuse me, let me see.
So the parent company is, do you know what their name is?
The parent company?
Do we have, yeah.
The parent company is Loblaw Companies.
Oh.
And it's actually a little bit interesting. This is the current executive chairman.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, that's the Weston family.
Yeah.
Weston family.
Oh.
So even like his father is the second wealthiest Canadian, due to the food industry, the food processing and distribution company. And his mother is also, she was the 26th Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, and she was also the Deputy Chair of Holt Renfrew. So they've got they've got the food, they've got the clothing, they also something about a bank. They have their bank, and now they have pharmaceutical.
Yeah, because that's President's Choice.
Yeah.
I like President's Choice.
It's also interesting. Everyone, well, maybe not everyone, but people in Toronto know that they purchase Maple Leaf Gardens and like built this massive, like food. They have some weird fresh food hall or something. Like they give it this really like fancy title. But anyways, the President's Choice brand is actually sold to Walmart as Sam's American Choice. Sam being Sam Walden, the founder of Walmart.
Oh.
So that brand alone, and the bank, like, yeah, they're a pretty big corporate force in Canada.
Yeah, for sure. I really do appreciate kind of the, like, is it Glenn, the father, who's the dude I see on the commercials all the time?
Yeah, that's Galen Jr.
Yeah,
That would be the son.
yeah, he does a pretty good job at being invested in the marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good aspect of what they're doing. But tell me more now.
Well, I think it's hard for the Canadian companies such as Loblaws and Shoppers Drug Mart to stay afloat when you have Target and Walmart competing with all these American companies. So what do? They combine together, right? So I don't know. I think there's like some good and some bad for both of them, but I think what they're going to start doing is kind of, those superstores, and they have Joe Fresh inside.
Yeah.
I think they'll have their own compartment. When you go into Loblaws, you'll have a little Shoppers Drug Mart section, and the same vice versa. You go into Shoppers Drug Mart and you can get I think the President's Choice brands.
I would
Stuff
love
like
to
that.
get President's Choice at Shoppers Drug Mart. Shoppers Drug Mart is close by. It's closer than the
They're
No
everywhere.
Frills.
That's where I shop too. It's
Yeah.
just a walk up the street.
Very
So.
interesting.
There's a few interesting concepts with this, and
What are some of the negative aspects that are?
well, what I'm thinking is just this whole kind of conglomerate corporation buying everything, and you don't really have a choice anymore, right? All your money is going to the same people, and you can't really fight where you get your products because it's coming from the same places, going to the same places.
But
So-
he's a really beautiful guy. I'm sure they're a good family. Why not?
No, yeah,
Why not?
they're pretty holding up good. So, and Loblaws also owns Superstore, Fortino's, No Frills, Value Mart, and TNT Supermarket. So they have a lot going on for them.
So Fortino's,
No Frills.
No Frills.
Yeah, they own No Frills. Supermarket. Do you know TNT? It's
I do
kind
know
of
TNT.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, so they own that too. And a couple others across Canada that we don't have in Ontario.
Yeah.
So-
when I lived in Vancouver, that's when I actually came to understand how many different like brands of
Mhm.
food stores they were involved with.
Mhm.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, and Loblaws food sale last year was about $31 billion, and Shoppers pharmaceutical was $10.8 billion. So they're pretty much working with each other. Shoppers wants more food items and more revenue with their food, and then Loblaws wants the pharmaceutical industry. So
It's also interesting. Let me just make sure my sound is. Okay, it's not really very loud. I don't know why. But anyways, our other reporter hiding in the corner brought us a link about banks. This is Royal Bank, the Bank of America Corporation, Merrill Lynch, all making like financial advice for this merger, and just like some of the numbers that they're planning on earning, like $95 million in advising fees. Merrill Lynch, $32 million. But I also think it's kind of interesting because Shoppers is connected to RBC, I believe, with
Yeah.
points thing, and President's Choice actually runs through CIBC. So it's like, it's interesting because both companies have said there aren't going to be any changes in like their programs, like the cards and all that. So I wonder what kind of backroom happenings are there, RBC and CIBC people like.
Mm.
Yeah. It's so because the President's Choice Financial, that's with CIBC. It's not independent of the private, the like major player private banks, is it?
I think it's like an affiliate.
I love how everything just brings us back to the banks.
Yeah.
Right?
Follow the money, honey.
Follow the money. Where do you go?
Yeah, no, I
Down
guess
the
it's.
rabbit hole.
I guess it's independent, but no, sorry, I'm wrong. It is a joint venture between Loblaws and CIBC
Yeah.
because there's no tellers. I have a PC account, and there's
Yeah.
no tellers. There's no like bank, so you use a CIBC ATMs to get your money.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
So it's like an alternative for people who don't want all the bells and whistles of a bank, but it's still facilitated by
buy bank. Yeah.
the bank.
Yeah.
Not the biggest player, but
Yeah,
one of
exactly.
them.
It's kind of like it's the same with a lot of big phone companies start little ones that look cooler and seem less like corporate, but they're still just an extension of that one. Anyways,
Next
yeah,
to ARM.
I'm interesting to see like how this will play out over time because I don't think that all of their business ideas have really been revealed in this. Even like flipping through like all the main newspapers, like they're all pretty much saying the same things.
The one that I read was about how this is helpful for their transition into focusing on urban markets. And so, of course, I immediately think of how they're trying to plunk a store down at College just east of Augusta, I think it is. And, Kensington Market, it is a really special neighborhood, and we'll probably talk about it later on, too, with the guests that we have coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually do have a video today of the community consultation meeting that happened at City Hall last week. Just a quick sort of overview thing that Nahum edited together, and it's becoming this sort of central spot of action against like corporatization, and it's really interesting to see how they're now saying, oh, because we've acquired this Shoppers Drug Mart, we're now like adjusting and forming this plan to become more adaptable for urban centers. So whatever that means.
It's kind of like a science experiment or something that they're doing. Like, let's see what happens if we plop ourselves right in Kensington Market.
Yeah, they don't already have enough land in the suburbs and
Yeah.
small towns.
Be a
And
big accomplishment for them if they do, eh? Huge. Then who knows where they'll go from there.
I know.
Shoppers is just so convenient. Like, I don't know about how others feel, but for me, it's very convenient for me to just go in there, and especially for cosmetic items. Like, that's where I shop, usually shop for my cosmetic items. It's usually not that pricey. Depends, like, what kind of brands you get, but that's where I go for my cosmetic items. So, yeah, that's, like, a big part of my life. Shopping area would be Shoppers, and they're always in places where it's convenient for you to either walk there or it's not too far.
And now they'll carry President's Choice cookies,
That's right.
the chocolate chunks, which are really good. And what else is really good? The President's Choice salad dressings. I like those ones. Although I like to make my own salad dressing most of the time. What else do I like by President's Choice?
Well,
Wink, wink.
they're also talking about putting more fresh foods like in the Shoppers stores. So 'cause the article that you referred to, which was Shoppers and Loblaws targets coveted urban market, like they're talking about how smaller stores in downtown areas are a lot more successful than the big kind of like Walmarts. So they're saying it's easy to have like a small Shoppers store and then just add a few more fresh markets, like fresh foods, like put some more like
So could I get lettuce at Shoppers?
yeah, that's what they're saying. Like in
Lettuce
this
and
article, they're
carrots?
like that's kind of like their marketing strategy, is that they're gonna have like lettuce and fruits and things, a little like cold section. So
I could actually see that happening, and I don't think it would be much of a problem. I think they could pull it off.
I'm sure they have the money to pull it
They
off.
could definitely, yeah, definitely. But
Then
I
what
feel like
happens?
it may be pricey there. It may be really pricey.
I don't know. A big
Like-
corporation like that gets discounts on things. You know, it's not going to be the same price as the St. Lawrence Market, Farmers Market. And I wonder, you know, especially with the anti-GMO movement, would they be able to cater both, you know, big agricultural product, corporate lettuce, and the non-GMO organic lettuce?
Well, I know that Shoppers, I think they have their life brands and lifestyle brands. I think some of them are like organic. I don't know what kind of organic, but yeah. So I wonder if maybe they'll try to keep that going, because I know that's really popular at Shoppers. There are organic items that you can get, like their organic cookies and whatever else.
It's also interesting.
Chemists or something.
Apparently, June 6th, there was a petition started to ask Loblaws to start enforcing GMO labeling.
Oh yeah.
So it's with Galen Jr., where he was saying that like all of their blue menu or whatever, you know, there's like President's Choice blue menu. I'm pretty sure he said that they were going to eventually make sure that there was no GMO in the blue menu line.
Oh, okay.
I think he mentioned by a certain date. I can't find it right now, so maybe none of that is true.
It was a dream.
It's interesting. Like, you think that there's a massive Shoppers, like pretty close to where they're proposing this Walmart development at Dundas and Bathurst, or no, College and Bathurst, and that's like relatively close to the same communities that everyone's like in a fuss about.
Yeah.
But like people don't really seem to be too afraid, or like they don't have these like negative opinions on Shoppers, right? 'Cause it's
No, not nearly like Walmart.
Yeah,
And
or
I think for
Loblaws,
good reason too. It
But-
doesn't have the human rights record that.
And I think you know, Canadians stick with Canadians, right? And, you know, with our Canadian companies, we try to at least.
But it's a smart move because like it's a venue where like if they want to build a Shoppers, like likely there's not going to be an uproar like there was at City Hall. But for Loblaws to like kind of sneak in there, because if they're selling like GMO foods and like, I mean, I'm not trying to bash Loblaws because I don't thoroughly know enough about all of their products and like their ethics, I guess. But if they are kind of becoming the Canadian Walmart in that sense, like it's pretty strategic to sneak in where no one has any bad feelings about, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's an interesting story.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Wow. Thanks for bringing that
Yeah,
today.
no problem. I thought, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
$12.4 billion.
Weston family.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I'm reading here another part of that whole deal was also getting, like a big part of that deal was getting the optimum points, like because Shoppers has the optimum points, and really what like all those cards are their big data, so their marketing information about what your shoppers are actually like shopping, like what are they buying at what certain times and
Yeah,
where.
for sure.
So like a
Oh,
big
scary.
part of that deal was actually getting all of that big data to use for Loblaws as well, and Loblaws also has its own like point system. So I think it's like the President's Choice like point system or something like that. But like now they're going to be able to combine the two. They're going to stay separate, but the big data is going to be combined, and then they can also then go. Loblaws can go and sell that information to like third parties, marketing corporations and stuff.
Really?
So that's actually was a like I'm reading like investors news and stuff like that, and that was a big part of the deal and why it was so pricey, because apparently Shoppers has like really like one of the best programs. Like their Optimum Points cards are like super heavy on like looking at all the data.
Because when you sign up for an Optimum card, you have to put your birthday down so they know what age you are. You have to put whether you're female or male identified, so they know, and they know where you live when you buy it and what time they know everything.
Yeah, there we go. So it's the information of our purchases and the data. Yeah, definitely. There's always like that problem when you have your information just out for these corporations to kind of snag you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sucks, because my portrait would be like that guy that's like comes 10 minutes before closing to get chocolate and milk like, every other night.
How do we get rid of this guy?
That's funny.
Yeah, it's the Loblaws points card is called the PC Plus loyalty program, and it just launched this May. So that was a big reason they didn't. I guess Loblaws didn't have one prior, and now that they bought Shoppers, they're gonna have all this information and like how a loyalty program should work. And so I don't know.
It's probably why they got their points card, their own points card, for this big transition.
Anticipating the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I want to make a big deal like this. I want everyone's information. I want to be able
what are you
to
gonna
know.
do with all that information?
I could what? What would I?
What are you gonna
me personally,
Yeah.
I would make a store that was convenient for everybody.
You know what I hate when they get your data, your information, and even I see it sometimes, you know, online, and then they have like, oh, this ad is popped up because you said this or you went to this site, and I'm just no, cancel. I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
It's really annoying when the ads get into that.
Soon that's going to be like in your face as you're driving down the highway, like things talking to you and telling you like,
Oh yeah.
hey,
sounds
you bought
dangerous.
milk at 11:57 last night. Like, don't forget today. Yeah.
I
it's a
feel like that
scary
makes
future.
you more closed in. Like, whatever you click on, everything else is just feeding back that information. So if you say, oh, like, I like apples, I like Facebook, apples and Facebook, that's all your, like, is around you. And I feel like it makes you more, like, closed-minded to your things, and you're not open to other people's, you know, possibilities of other lively stuff going on.
Yeah, what happened to spontaneity and adventure? And I guess I just want to say, speaking of spontaneity and adventure, we are being mirrored on the Occupy World News Now network, and also the Toronto affiliate of the World Occupy News Network. So that would be TNMN. So just hello to everyone on there. And there's some chatting going on. So if either of you guys on the computer have a live stream account, oh, Chris is on it. So talking about the deal. Yeah, is it a good deal for us as like Canadians having like big family corporations? And
I feel like it's the only way we can compete with Target and Market and these American companies before they come in and pretty much take over. So I think that's, I guess, the only way for our companies to survive. That's my opinion. I don't know.
But like, how do we make sure that Loblaws doesn't become that? Right? Like, it's just like gobbling up the market. Like, how can we make sure that like we don't suddenly see Loblaw company becoming like this massive Walmart like it?
Yeah.
That's true. That's the problem when you have such a big corporation containing it into the right morals that everybody wants to see.
Absolutely. And I feel if, like, speaking of big corporations kind of making their way into urban markets, or Kensington market, right? Like, two different. So the relationship between the customers and the corporation, like Kensington community is demanding transparency. It's demanding actual like active involvement in the community. And I guess if like the parent companies like RioCan or even the Weston family, if they are involved in that conversation and not just saying, yeah, we will go to the scheduled meeting and we will pretend to listen, which maybe they don't. Maybe they actually are listening. And maybe they recognize that, you have to actually serve the customers not just through like a glass wall, but actually in a real exchange, in a real relationship. So it'll be interesting to see how they interact and how they fare.
To an extent, but like, come on, that I feel like that's just giving them way too much slack.
Yeah.
Like they're in like such a position that like anything really is possible for them. Like especially a huge company like Walmart. Like maybe they are listening, but like they're just listening and sitting on their hands then, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like there's just too much slack. Like, just push these guys. I don't know how that happens. We're still working on the facilitating the conversation piece, but like they're the driving force. Like, imagine if like Loblaws, like you have this massive corporate entity that's actually engaged and like pushing social change and green energy and like transit and all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
That could definitely be the future of this company. It's very possible.
Well, if they're given all like corporate entities given all the rights as we have, or more so, definitely more so, then they should have more responsibility in the sustainability and health of communities.
Definitely. They can't just, turn their backs and just let the money come in. They do need that responsibility, especially with a huge corporation like that. When the money that they have, they can help. We need them to help.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of all this jazz, should we maybe go to the video that you prepared?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a pretty rough edit, but got it down to about 5 minutes of just some good questions and bits from the public hearing.
Cool. All right.
As you can see,
Yeah, that was really good.
we're here at that place that we told you about earlier. Here are the empty news chairs waiting to be filled.
Bathurst Street is a no person's land. It's between wards. It changes throughout quite significantly, but we do need to have a vision for it. Councillor Vaughan and I passed a motion to initiate a Bathurst Street planning study, which I'm pleased to say is underway. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Councillor Vaughan.
I am here to fight this as your neighbour, as your councillor, and as someone who thinks that Toronto deserves better because Toronto can do better. And I ask and I plead with the applicants to please rethink this proposal and come back with something that makes this neighborhood stronger, not angry. Thank you.
My name is Jordan Robbins, and I'm Senior Vice President of Development for RioCan. Our consulting team, Russell Fleischer, our architect, Peter Smith, our land use planner, Craig Ferguson, our market consultant, Steve Crossy, our transportation consultant, and Mark Noskowitz, our municipal lawyer. We want to be a good neighbor. The zoning bylaw regulates use and not the user. We have commissioned a number of independent third-party studies, all of which concluded that there will be no adverse impact on the neighboring communities. We've initiated a number of outreach activities to learn about your opinions, concerns, and how to best serve the needs of the community.
By leaving. And Jen is carrying the box of signatures from the Change.org petition, which is now at almost, well, since this was printed, it's now closer to 85,000 signatures in opposition. This is their vision: an urban environment that encourages and facilitates walking, supports community health, vitality, and safety. It will increase use of public transit, decrease car dependence, reduce conflict between vehicles and pedestrians, lead to cleaner air, green public space, and support green tourism. Such an environment creates opportunities for the informal social interaction that is one of the main attributes of a vibrant, livable city.
And thank you most of all for people, 126 of you coming here tonight, because this is about democracy. And we Canadians have to start taking this back. There's a fundamental problem with this proposal and series of applications. Society does not want it. You're on about concerns. What concerns? You said about relationships. Relationships with trees, relationships with buildings, relationships with dogs, relationships with Uncle Tom Cobley and all. What about the main relationship, which is the relationship with society and the betterment of life? I'm not against development, although I say I might be. I'm against rape and exploitation, and they're totally different.
Is it something that enhances? Is it something that makes tourists want to come to the city? Is it something that promotes, if I may, is it something that promotes diversity among what's available in terms of retail? And the answer to all of those is no. RioCan is capable of good development. I actually think the development at Queen and Portland is quite good and integrates with that particular location well. The problem is that this development does not integrate well with this location. If you drive through the United States, you're in one subdivision and you see one of these smart center type outdoor strip mall big box locations, and then you drive another 10 miles and it's a duplicate of all the same stores again. It's mind-numbing, and it is not what a city as diverse as Toronto would. Kensington Market in particular is a magical place. Richard Florida has talked about it. There's no other place like it on this continent, and it needs to be preserved. And this is the kind of city, this is our moment.
A variety of other retail users who do not currently operate within the marketplace and have asked to be part of this development because they want to provide. They want to provide goods and services that are not currently provided in the neighborhood.
Lies! Like what? Like what?
Can you provide an example of which one of those that you feel that is not going to be in direct competition with Kensington Market?
At this point in time, I cannot disclose. Having said that, I will be happy to do that when I have a signed document with them.
All right, so you guys give me the go. Oh, here we go. So we just saw a video that was kind of a quick little overview of what happened at City Hall regarding the RioCan development just outside of Kensington Market. And talking about really in general sort of like big corporations and their relationship with the public. And we have Doug Richardson here, who is a very integral part of Invisible Criminals. Whoa.
Or am I?
It's invisible. So what is Invisible Criminals?
It's a notion I came up with last year when trying to raise awareness about coltan mining in the Congo in Africa. There was a project around the same time called Invisible Children, that was trying to raise awareness around child soldiers, which I have no problem with. But the problem is that they were doing a lot of misinformation and also raised over $10 million in funds, which is great, but they kept $9 million of it. And around the same time, I was looking for a name for my project and thought about that for a second. I was like, invisible criminals, that's kind of who I'm hinting at. Now, it's a very large and complex issue. Takes a while to explain, but I'd be happy to elaborate further.
I think we're in for a good conversation, so I'm happy to hear a little bit more. And first, I'm interested in the invisible children thing you brought up, and the 9 million that didn't actually get to children that were victims of
of being turned into child soldiers, essentially. So these kids are abducted. Maybe their families have been killed from the ages of around 8 or 9, and then they're kind of inducted into the child soldier phenomenon. I don't know. By they get a little slit on their temples, and they rub in a mixture of gunpowder and cocaine, and that's called boom boom. And,
wow.
From that point on, they get addicted to the drugs and the lifestyle, which is being a killing machine, essentially.
And so is this organization still going, the Invisible Children?
I haven't really looked up on them too much. I know that there was some very, interesting video of one of the founders of Invisible Children after their huge success financially, of him masturbating in public, running around naked, probably on a drug binge, kind of flipped his lid a little bit.
Wow.
So last time I heard, he was in the loony bin, and
okay.
I think a little bit of the karma came back and bit him in the rear.
Yeah, that happens. All right, so we'll look at that later. Let's get to invisible criminals.
All right.
Yes, and we brought it up last week actually because we were talking about smartphones, and all of us smarty pants with smarty phones.
I've got one here.
And you've got one now. As long as I've known you, you haven't had cell phone.
I've been practicing something called eganism, which is electronic abstinence. Kind of a boycott, a mindfulness, but as pragmatics will show, I was only effective so far in trying to not own any electronics and working on the project at the same time. So this is an Apple, no doubt, iPhone that I'm going to be using to be contactable and be able to work more frequently on the project.
Well, that's important. I understand.
But I did enjoy being vegan for a while. It has a lot of benefits. Not staring at screens for a long time is really good for the eyes.
Yeah. Maybe I should practice that a little bit. I
think
sleep
everybody
better.
could use a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, invisible criminals. It's been how long?
Well, basically, I found out about coltan during the Occupy movement. As well as many other things that I'd never heard about before that shocked me. And really my mind, I just couldn't let go about that issue in particular, just how ridiculous it was. When you look at the stats, like more people have been killed up to date now than the Holocaust. And this is over minerals that allow us to text. And it's just, it's really insidious when you think about things like that. And the fact that every 70 seconds, a woman is, on average, is raped in the Congo by the child soldiers over this. And, this is going through my mind every day, like every minute that goes by, I'm feeling a little stressed.
So this is actually quite related to the child soldier issue.
It is actually, yeah, because the the surrounding countries, surrounding the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, such as Uganda, Rwanda, these child soldier militias are sent into the area to slaughter villages in the countryside, places that are going to be mined, places that are mineral rich. So they slaughter people, they rape the women. It's a war tactic to shame them, and their own families will sometimes, due to their culture, just not want anything to do with them, things like that. And then also the youth that they would spare the lives of, those become child slaves in the mines to get the actual minerals. And then the multinationals will, send a helicopter in, get these like very precious minerals, blood minerals though, and toss them a couple bucks, maybe some bullets, maybe some cocaine for the child soldiers, and then fly off and then proceed to make trillions off of these minerals.
What are the minerals? Like, what are their names?
The ones in question are tantalum. That's the major one. It's number 73 on the periodic table. It's extremely dense. It allows things to get slimmer and slimmer and slimmer as time goes on. And then also cobalt and tin are some of the other major ones. And on top of that, you still got gold and diamonds that a lot more people know about. The blood diamond industry.
Yeah, because Leonardo DiCaprio made a movie about it.
Exactly.
So make movies about it.
Now, somebody also made a movie about this issue. It's called Blood in the Mobile by a Belgian film director, because Belgium has a lot of colonial ties with the Congo. And it's the first time I tried to watch it, I only made it about halfway through, and then I had to stop because I was crying. It's very detailed as to what is going on exactly. They actually went in with hidden cameras and bribed their way past the guards and stuff to get into these areas to get the footage of the mines and stuff. And I think that one's really good to get educated on the subject, as well as some of the websites related, conflictminerals.org, Justice for Congo. There's a couple more.
Do you have a website?
I had a website up, invisiblecriminals.com, and then I got it taken down because I was spray painting the website logo all over the city and stuff, which was effective on one hand, and on the other hand, it's not effective when you get your site taken down. I'm going to be switching to a .org and making things a lot more legitimate, and maybe at most I'll be chalking my my web logo around.
Well, that's good to know. So, actually, Nahum has a question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how progressive, like, how sustainable is a big company like Apple on this issue? Like, I've been reading a little bit. They're talking about making sure that everything is ethically sourced, but
well, okay, it's a good thing. I've checked that out recently as well, and I mean they can set limits on their side. They can say we want things that are conflict free, and that will only go so far still, because the minerals can be smuggled to other areas that aren't called a conflict zone, and then sell the minerals from there. So they can still be supporting the violence without it looking like they are. So it's very hard to tell. I mean, I commend them for making that far of an effort, but they also haven't made that much of an effort to publicize the fact that they're trying to go conflict free.
Yeah, and like this Fairphone, this, I'm assuming, makes sure that it avoids this?
Yes. Fairphone is actually established fair trade mines in the Congo, and they're getting their minerals from those ones with protection for the workers' rights, safety standards.
So Fairphone actually is not like dealing with middlemen. They actually are is there a parent corporation to Fairphone that deals with the mining and the whole?
Well, I think they're essentially directly linked to the actual mining.
Wow.
And then they also ensure that the factories that assemble the phones, like say in China, also are fair trade workers' rights as well. Yeah, fairphone.com. It just came out. They haven't even finished their first production run yet, but they're amazing for doing this and setting a standard. Right now it's only available in Europe, and the first run of phones comes out in the fall, but I have been pestering them to make it available in North America as well.
Yeah.
And I know they want to. But this is a surefire solution. If people actually want it and want to support it, I know I want a phone from them.
Yeah.
It's directly supporting the kind of positive industry standards that will replace the bloody ones. I think this is a good example that they're setting, and I think other companies should jump in with that and follow their lead. I think there's no reason there could be, BlackBerry and Apple, larger companies, getting the fair trade or at least the conflict-free, as well as upping their environmental standards, because I think it's just starting to reach the point of ridiculousness in how overboard things have gone. And the only way that things are ultimately going to change in that area is if the larger companies get on board.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But that's also up to the consumers to be informed of these things in the first place, and then to put pressure on the companies, because governments can only do so much, as we've seen in the past.
For invisible terminals, is it just the knowledge about what's going on that you're distributing, or is
that's the main focus, is to raise awareness. I wasn't really worried about raising funds, especially in the beginning, because I didn't know of anything solid to put money towards that I couldn't be sure would be funneled back into weapons and drugs. When you give money to the governments of companies or countries, corrupt
Same
governments,
difference.
yeah, exactly. Then you could easily be you could be helping the problem instead of stopping it. But I have now found there's a hospital called the Ponzi Hospital in the Eastern Congo, and they have been set up to treat women who've been raped by soldiers. So I am going to be doing a lot of fundraising in this next season to support that hospital, and also I'm still on the lookout for other projects that would be good to support.
Cool. And Nahum has a question.
Hi again. I thought about this actually quite a bit since we met in Kensington the other week, and it was interesting. Plan, Foster Parents Financing, a pretty big international NGO. Their street canvassers are using Apple phones now instead of their paperwork, and I thought it was interesting because if Apple is involved in dirty minerals this way, they're just feeding into this cycle of getting people to give money to the Congo that's going to the government that's corrupting them while we use Apple products.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's a lot of gray zones in with the Planned Canada scene, but I still have to commend them for what they're doing. Again, they're raising awareness, and that's more important than even the money that they're raising, of course. But the phone thing, that's kind of dicey. I didn't even know about that. And then, I've always felt kind of odd that they're raising this money and then they're paying Canadian wages to Canadians, so that's a lot of money that's not going to make it to those projects. At the same time, would any money be going to these projects if they weren't out there? So
Yeah.
I am probably going to try to emulate them a little bit to get the t-shirts.
Nice
This
t-shirt.
is phase 2 of the thing. This is just a homemade one, but there's a fair trade organic t-shirt company that's going to work with me to raise money for the hospital, for the
Awesome.
Swansea Hospital.
Oh, that's a good deal.
Yeah, but yeah, back to the Plan Canada thing. I've been, every time I walk past one of them, my excuse for not having money is because I'm working on this project. But I always take the time to explain to them what I'm doing and what's going on in the Congo, and it's really amazing to see how many people still don't know about this issue. And my Congolese friend Kamambuko, who should be coming any minute now, just recently informed me that there's people living in cities in the Congo that don't know what's going on in their own country. And this is how good the media nowadays is at like blocking off people from the truth, essentially.
Wow.
Or misdirecting. And it's really scary. Like, but if you know about if you know about an issue like this, then it's easy to clue in and realize how many other things are corrupt in the world, like the factories in Bangladesh, like mines in many other parts of the world, you know, Philippines, South America, Asia. It's just, there's a lot of, and right here in Canada, you know, as long as the business is being carried out somewhere where nobody's there to look over their shoulder, they can just drop all the environmental standards and workers' rights and things like that. So it's really...
What do you mean that happens in Canada? What do you mean? I know we're a big country. There's people...
Well, and somebody could argue
on?
that we're not slaughtering people at the moment to do this mining, but it obviously happened in the past.
Yeah.
In Canada. And
Absolutely.
that's always something to remember. And even with companies like Apple, even if they're making a shift to be more ethical, it still doesn't address the fact that the last 15 years they were profiting off of the genocide. And that still, there's been no steps to remedy that. And it'd be, you know, another thing I'd like to pressure them on.
Yeah, okay, I won't get into that. Nahum has a question.
I just wonder, like, so you get everyone informed, and let's say you achieve that goal, like, how do we pressure, like, what are efficient ways to pressure a big company like that?
Well, there's, I'm going to be starting a petition to send to companies, just to assert that people know what's going on and they agree that it is wrong, and would like the companies to support, you know, fair business practices. And then there's also, basically, if enough people know about it and there's a buzz about it, it will get into more media. It's already getting into CBC now more frequently, and Omni Television. I'm not so sure about our BBCs or CNNs, obviously. But if that ever is the case, then we'll know that the companies will know that we know, and then they'll have no choice but to scramble to be the first company to be, you know, green and fair in the sector.
So should we, being Canadians, should we like send letters to BlackBerry?
We could send letters to BlackBerry. Their headquarters are actually right in Waterloo. We can. I'm planning on paying them a visit at some point. Yeah.
Oh, we could do a field trip.
Field trip.
Field
Yeah.
trip. Yes,
I think that would be
I'd
great.
love to go to BlackBerry.
Oh yeah.
That'd be
totally.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think that they are in dire need of some real innovation.
We could help them out. Like I was thinking, they could come up with a green berry or a blueberry, maybe something, you know, a little friendlier. Because that company's, you know, starting to spiral down, and you know, it doesn't hurt to like try different angles, see if see if actually being good is, you know.
Yeah, they could almost forge a path for a major telecommunications company being really ethical in their like entire production and distribution, because they have quite a stronghold on the emerging markets, and they're looking for a new way to revitalize their presence in North America. So that could be a really good, if you're listening.
Also, there is a large percentage of these mining companies that are decimating the globe right here in Canada and even right here in Toronto. Barrick Gold being the big one, the big mini. But there's a lot of mining companies that are right on our front doorstep that we can totally, if we can get our government to change the standards, then these companies have to respond to that. I feel that there might have been a tendency to have these companies based in Canada, even though they're benefiting the U.S. probably even more. And it makes the U.S. look better if they have standards or whatever, better standards. Canada's just kind of like swept under the rug and is assumed that we're good or something, I don't know.
This is news to me. I don't understand. Do we have lower standards than...
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of, I was a little bit shocked too.
Oh.
But it's one of these shell games that you just keep on moving around. You know, kind of like offshore bank accounts or that kind of thing. If you can't have your low standards in one country, just move it to another country.
And that's the power of the multinational corporation. Is they're actually dealing with the policymakers in government and working it out. And so if any government sees that, you know what, we're going to have to adjust our regulations for one reason or another, they're already aware of it. They make their moves so that they aren't stuck in the middle. Okay, I just figured it all out. Not even close. Oh, this is awesome. Come in.
All right, looks like we have a guest here.
We do. This is beautiful. So we're going to just reorganize a little bit. Maybe we can choose a song. Anybody have a song to play?
There's a Fairphone video.
Yeah.
You could totally roll that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. There you go.
Thank you, Nahum.
All right.
Come in.
All right, looks like we have a guest here.
We do. This is beautiful. So we're going to just reorganize a little bit. Maybe we can choose a song. Anybody have a song to play?
Inside this stuff. We don't know where it comes from or who made it.
You could totally roll that.
We know almost nothing about our stuff. That's why we started with an alternative for the thing we can't live without.
Come in.
All right, looks like we have a guest here.
We do.
Our
this
phone.
is
You name it.
Beautiful. So we're going to just reorganize a little bit. Maybe we can choose a song. Anybody have a song to play?
Inside this stuff. We don't know where it comes from or who made it.
You could totally roll that.
We know almost nothing about our stuff. That's why we started with an alternative for the thing we can't live without.
Come in.
All right, looks like we have a guest here.
We do.
Our
This
phone.
is
You name it.
beautiful. So we're going to...
Hello. Good day.
Hi.
Guten Tag. Hello.
And this is what we're building. Stuff. More stuff. All this stuff. You name it, we have it. But what we don't have, a clue about what's inside this stuff. We don't know where it comes from or who made it. We know almost nothing about our stuff. That's why we started with an alternative for the thing we can't live without. Our phone. We are the people of Fairphone.
Hey.
Hello. Good day.
Hi.
Guten Tag. Hello.
And this is what we're building. The Fairphone. As smart as other phones, but fair. Which makes it more than a phone. It's a beginning, a step in the right direction. We're making it happen. A smartphone that's made in a way that puts people and the environment first. We're already working hard on the first batch. We're almost there. And that's where you come in. To start making them, we need you to pre-order. Because, By buying and owning this phone, you can make a difference. You become part of change. Buy a phone. Start a movement at fairphone.com.
I'm through with standing in line to clubs I'll never get in. It's like the bottom of the ninth and I'm never gonna win this. Life hasn't turned out quite the way I want it to be. Tell me what you want. I want a brand new house on an episode of Cribs and a bathroom I can play baseball in, and a king-size tub big enough for 10 plus me. So what you need? I'll need a credit card that's got no limit and a big black jet with a bedroom in it. Gonna join the Mile High Club at 37,000 feet. Been done. I want a new tour bus full of old guitars. Mine star on Hollywood Boulevard. Somewhere between Cher and James Dean is fine for me. So how you gonna do it? I'm gonna trade this life for fortune and fame. I'd even cut my hair and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltop houses driving 15 cars. The girls come easy and the drugs come cheap. Well, I'll stay skinny cause we just won't eat, and we'll hang out in the coolest bars in the VIP with the movie stars. Every good gold digger's gonna wind up there. Every playboy bunny with a bleached blonde hair. And well, hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star. Hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star. I wanna be great like Elvis without the tassels. Hire 8 bodyguards that love to beat up assholes. Sign a couple autographs so I can eat my meals for free. I'm gonna dress my ass with the latest fashion. Get a front door key to the Playboy mansion. Gonna date a centerfold that loves to blow my money for me. So how you gonna do it? I'm gonna trade this life for fortune and fame. I'd even cut my hair and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltop houses driving 15 cars. The girls come easy and the drugs come cheap. Well, I'll stay skinny cause we just won't eat, and we'll hang out in the coolest bars in the VIP with the movie stars. Every good gold digger's gonna wind up there. Every playboy bunny with a bleached blonde hair. And we'll hide out in the private rooms with the latest dictionary of today's zoo. They'll get you anything with that evil smile. Everybody's got a drug dealer on speed dial. Well, hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star. I'm gonna sing those songs that offend the senses. Gonna pop my pills from a Pez dispenser. Get washed up singers writing all my songs. Lip sync them every night so I don't get them wrong. Well, we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltop houses driving 15 cars. The girls come easy and the drugs come cheap. We'll all stay skinny cause we just won't eat, and we'll hang out in the coolest bars in the VIP with the movie stars. Every good gold digger's gonna wind up there. Every playboy bunny with a bleached blonde hair. And we'll hide out in the private rooms with the latest dictionary of today's zoo. They'll get you anything with that evil smile. Everybody's got a drug dealer on speed dial. Well, hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star. Hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star.
He is now to be among you at the calling of your
shall leave his mother, and a woman leave her home. They shall travel on to where the two should be as one. As it was in the beginning, is now until the end. Woman draws her life from man and gives it back again. And there is love. Well, then what's to be the reason for becoming man and wife? Is it love that brings you here, or love that brings you life? Or if loving is the answer, then who's the giving for? Do you believe in something that you've never seen before? Oh, there's oh, the marriage of your spirits here has caused him to remain. Oh, whenever two or more of you are gathered in his name, there is love. Oh, there's
The morning was cold and lonely. City lights old and gray. The sun arose and tried to smile, gave it all away. The honky-tonk called the stranger. The stranger couldn't pay the bill. Made a stand, raised his hand, sang a song, no time to kill. I said, hey, 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 Peter, got a tale to tell. Just been down in New York town. It really feels like hell. It really feels like hell. Billy was out of fashion.
We are back, and I'm Veronica Campbell, and we have Arestia here now at the table, who was switching beforehand. Yay, Arestia. And Ariel's gone back to take over for Arestia and the switch machine. There she is, and there's Nahum. And we have Chris in the corner, who's hiding. I think he's got one camera that catches him with Arestia. Oh, no, he's hiding. And so we were talking about invisible criminals and the communications industry and the mining industry. And now we have a very special guest, Kamambuko. Kamambuko. Okay, I almost got it. Kamambuko. And you have a greeting to teach us, because where you come from, which you'll have to tell us more about.
I'm actually from descendant of the Congo Empire. So yeah, so that's why where the greeting is coming from, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So the greeting actually extends as well from back then.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it's 3 times.
Cool. 3 times. Love it. It's just beautiful. Mm-hmm. So this is an ancient greeting.
Yes, absolutely. Because most of the Congolese, they do not really practice that on their everyday life. But I practice that because I came back to my roots. So yeah, this is what I do.
Beautiful.
And some of the Congo people and some of the people who are related to the Congo, they practice that because they're coming back to their roots. So this is how the greetings is.
Well, I'm very happy to learn that today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, how long have you been in Canada?
I'm going to be actually 4 years in September.
Welcome. I'm really happy you're here on the show today. Let's get right back into the Invisible Criminals project and perhaps tell us about how you guys met.
That's an interesting story, actually.
Yes.
I'll tell a little bit. I had a large banner that I made with a lot of information about the situation and some of my artwork and art memes. I've got an acronym that goes with this image, IPAD, which is Innocent People Are Dying.
Oh,
yeah, truth. Yeah. So I had the banner out and some shirts, and I was just like trying to talk to people on the street. For the first time since I've started the project, it's kind of been like, it's easier to work in postering and stuff instead of face-to-face. But as I found out, there's benefits to face-to-face. So I was talking to somebody else, explaining the project, and then I noticed Kamambuko standing here dressed in traditional garb, much like he is now. So eventually we started talking and then found out our similar connections to the Congo.
Yeah.
And so now we're working together on a couple projects.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah, so actually it's for me it's a spiritual connection because I am actually the descendant of the Tsako Nevunda, who is the representative of spirituality. In the ancient Egyptian history is the middle pyramid in the Valley of Kings. So actually I'm the descendant of the symbol of that pyramid. So I'm coming here in Canada following our ancestors' prophecies. So I am supposed to be spreading that news of representation of the spirituality, love. So I am supposed to be meeting people who are having connection with the Congo and with love, with spirituality. So that's why I came to meet actually Dodd. So in that regard, you know, it's people sometimes they say that it's a happen at random, but for me it doesn't happen at random. Yeah. So this is what happened. So yeah.
And it's also spiritual for me as well. I didn't get into that as much, but years before this project, I did a vision quest in like North American Native tradition style, and at the culmination of my vision quest was I saw with the question in my mind, what's the what's like I just wanted one thing I could focus my energy on, because there's so many issues in the world. It's easy to scatter your energy and then not be effective at all. And I looked up and there was a cloud exactly shaped like Africa. And so when I found out about the situation in the DRC, I was like, okay, life mission, I found something to focus on.
It was revealed.
Yeah.
That's
and then,
wonderful.
it doesn't surprise me at all that we meet up like this, because we're, you know, there's more to it than what we can see, you know, visibly.
Absolutely.
All those roots to uncover.
And
absolutely.
There's another invisible thing that we're connecting on, which is music. And we just had our first jam or practice last Sunday. Two of Kamambuko's friends, Libu and Didier? Didier, yeah.
Cool.
And then three of my friends who have their own funk band, Tim, Ian, and Conrad. And yeah, I mean, I've loved African music in all of its forms since I was taught. You know, whether it's drumming and world music, Afrobeat and stuff. And how would you describe the sound we got, or like the style of music, I guess?
For the last time.
Yeah, the last time you were jamming.
Yeah, it was really very, very good. You know, for the first time, like people who have never played together before, they just come together, and you know, it was like fluid. You know, they just got into connection very easily, and you know, I think that it's very, yeah, you know, in the future, it's really very promoting, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. So maybe you guys will come in with the band one day.
Would love
Yeah,
to.
we'd love
Yeah,
to, yeah.
definitely.
Cool.
Yeah. It's really very danceable.
Yeah.
And we're looking to do some fundraiser events maybe in the fall once we've had a couple practices in and stuff. But I think everybody in the band is pretty professional, and could expect some really good things coming out of that.
Wow, I'm looking forward to that for sure. So, is there like lyrics? Is it like?
Well, Kamambuko is doing most of the vocals there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but it's in like Congolese dialect, which is like a mixture of like French and like local.
Yeah, the language that most of the songs are in Lingala. Lingala is a dialect actually coming from mixed languages, you know. So there are some French, some Kikongo, and some other languages coming from the Equator zone in the Congo.
Beautiful. Wow. Well, I know music's one of the best way to get message to lots of people in you know, very loving fashion. So I look forward to hearing some of it for sure. Yeah.
Sweet.
Groovy.
This is part of the Congo tradition as well, because most of the teaching, they say that if you have to teach the kids, you need to teach them in singing and maybe in dancing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Could you suggest maybe some music that we could look up to play after this segment?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like maybe a Congolese group. We could bring up.
Yeah, we can
some
bring up the
music.
video for when we need to take a break. So who would your favorite be? Yeah.
Or what's the band that the guys were playing in? That I think Libu was playing it at Afrofest.
Yeah. They played actually different music.
Oh, different ones. Yeah. Okay.
Cute.
It was not from one band. It was just mixed.
Oh, okay. But could you recommend any artists for us to listen to right now?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, because I have some artists who are close to
Oh, okay.
to pass some good messages. So
Yeah. What should I Google then? What's the name?
Maybe type Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton?
Because that's his his nickname.
His nickname's Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
Like spelt like the former
Just
president?
The former president.
Bill
Clinton. From that.
So what would we search? Because I think
Bill Clinton, Congolese
it will come up.
music?
It will come up.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, because he's known as that nickname.
We got a video.
Oh, you did?
You got
Okay.
one?
Okay, cool.
I got Love Moi was the first one that came up for me. Love Moi. That's beautiful.
I don't know.
So we just want to call that up for when we're done. We've only just begun. Oh my. I'm actually really intrigued to hear a little bit more about your ancestors and the. You said there was a prophecy, and that is, or maybe I'm wrong, but that's what brought you to Canada?
Not really the prophecy that brought me into Canada, but I'm just fulfilling, what is a part of my descendancy, because I'm descendant of Ntaku Nevunda, who's actually the founder of the Congo Empire, and is the representative of love and spirituality, because the creation came from love, and firstly from the spiritual to physical. So that's what I am, and because most of the people from that descendancy lost their knowledge and their roots. So where I am going, I have been here, since I've been here, then things are coming back into the roots. So people did not know what is the African spirituality, or the Congo spirituality. And now people are getting to know about it. And we have already a temple which is established now in Montreal. So these are the things that's coming, after my presence here.
Wow, so a temple in Montreal, and this is new. And
that is new, and I do some teaching on African, on Omni 2, from time to time. So that's what I do, and I am invited to different places. Like I have connection with the Yoruba House in Toronto here, and some other people who like to know more about African tradition, things like that.
Wonderful.
And now I just met a lady from the Congo who has an organization called the Children in Mission. Children in Mission. So he would like me to work with her and bring some teaching to the kids about themselves, to know themselves, to get confidence on themselves. So that's
So how do you apply yourself to the issues of mining and corporate responsibility with regards to what Doug is doing and the invisible criminals? Like, how are you involving yourself in that?
First of all, things for me actually come from the spiritual level. So first of all, we get I asked to the guides of my ancestors to guide me, the guidance, and then we're gonna see in a physical way how we're gonna proceed about that. So as I made Dodge, that's what is given to him, because everybody has got his gifts, and I am going to help him at the spiritual level. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to be successful. That's what
And I think just by having your presence here, it's a lot easier to feel compassionate towards the situation when you actually have like a name and a face, some background connecting to it as well.
Yeah. So what have your experiences been in the Congo with regards to the mining companies or the kind of the structure of this,
or like the ripples of the violence.
Yeah, the ripples of the violence. That's exactly. Thank you, Doug. How has that affected you in your experience?
Yeah, the experience actually from those companies is very, very crucial because in some 2006 there was some kind of project called Amphitheos. Amphitheos de Mwanda is one of the projects that was launched by the government to take some of the lands in rent for 99 years. Actually, to bring up some people there, and then they're going to, after 99 years, the land will belong to them. This project actually was refused because the spiritual leader in the Congo talked to all the representatives of the clan to boycott that, and the government who were allowing that project to happen has sent some police people there to kill the members of the group, and I don't know if you can find information about Bondo dia Congo. You can see how all these things happen. So they killed quite a lot of members of the spiritual group because they boycott that project. And these are the most important parts of the resistance in not allowing those kind of mining groups to operate in the Congo, because they educate people that we do not refuse everybody to come here, but we welcome people who are supposed to be doing some fair trade, instead of just coming there and then trying to own the land, and people don't benefit for what belongs to their land. So that's what's going on, and they do not like this kind of people like that.
Well, essentially it's up to the consumer again to make that decision, because the Congo isn't as protected, like its borders are not protected. It doesn't have so much of a its own kind of like militia or whatever to protect itself and to lay down the rules. But people, over in this part of the world, we have the choice. Every time you make the choice to support a fair trade, that means that money is going into the area. That's replacing the people with guns. That's replacing the child soldiers on drugs. Also, just a couple more facts I remembered is the mountain gorilla in the region is going extinct because the militia's poaching it when they're in between towns. And then also the kind of environmental devastation that goes along with mining. So it's not just on the human factor, it's on pretty much all of them.
So is the government is suppressing like the public's boycott or the public's concerns? They're continually suppressing it.
Yes, actually the thing is that most of the people, they do not know their rights to begin with. So that's the major issue.
Yeah.
And they do not want people to know what is their right. So if you are bringing an organization that will allow people to know their rights, you're going to be in serious trouble. You see, so they do not want any organization like that, you know. They do not want any organization that's are going to give a value to the people, because they don't want those kind of things to happen.
They don't want people to be empowered.
Yeah, to be empowered. They don't want people also to be you know, having the first, the basic needs. You know, because if you have basic needs, then also you're going to be start thinking, and so you need first of all to be needing for your basic, then you will never think about anything else. So that's why this is the policy that they use, you know, so that people in the Congo itself do not get involved about their own right. They just looking for their basic to live. You see, so this is the deepest problem. As far as you jump into that, into thinking first, then you're going to get into serious trouble. Yeah, so that's what's happening over there.
I just found out a couple of days ago, my friend Cash, who since I informed him about the project, he's been doing a lot of research for me, especially in the height of my egonism. He was like, okay, well, I'm still using a computer. I'm going to find out some stuff. And there is, I guess, a watchdog company that's like, one of the things they do is make sure that like aid companies or aid organizations actually, the aid gets to where it's been promised to go. But another thing they're doing right now is they've contacted a lot of the key people, like CEOs or just people in the companies, and they're getting more and more people on board to do something to address the issue. So I want to learn more about this particular project. I don't even know the name of the watchdog company right now, but it does sound like a well thought out plan. Obviously somebody who's got some more connections or some people that can access those higher up folks and reason with them. Yeah.
Because the people in charge making decisions, they're human beings as well.
And sometimes they're not even informed.
They're not even.
The less that the bosses know about like the mineral sourcing, the easier it is for them to go on with business as usual. And I've kind of had the sneaking suspicion that maybe like your Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, you know, it was in the best interest of the company to like keep info away from people like that, lest it affect, you know, their
productivity.
Stocks.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm even wondering maybe the stress load found its way to Steve Jobs one way or another in the form of his cancer, and then maybe the fact that he refused treatment for his cancer might have been some indication of like guilt there. I don't know, but that's a lot of speculation. So
yeah, very interesting though. I hear what you're saying, and I think that if we are to be, you know, reasoning with the corporations and the government, the more that we have these international connections ourselves, I think that it becomes a little bit easier for us to approach them in a way that they don't feel threatened or even aggravated.
Well, and if it's looking like they stand to lose something financially, what is it they're going to gain? Perhaps something spiritual, you know, perhaps something a little bit more connectedness with the rest of the population, which could probably not be such a bad thing.
No. That would be a good thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
too late to reconnect.
I think everybody needs friends, wants friends and connections, and, or doesn't want to be hated as well. You know?
I don't know. Kevin O'Leary likes being hated. It's part of his persona.
Each to their own.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I sort of want to brainstorm right now, and if we are approaching corporations and governments and asking them to deal more spiritually, or to even acknowledge the spiritual nature of these issues and of the people involved.
Or at least emotionally, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of connected.
It's
there.
connection with
Yeah.
the spiritual.
Yeah. I just sort of wanted to brainstorm about that a little bit, and like how might we approach it? Because I look at what's going on with the indigenous population and the way in which different tribes actually deal with the government, and they demand that respect for the spiritual nature of the interaction. And how might a population of
This is actually reminding me of something that I caught on to early on in my project. Was I noticed that the Congolese protesting that I'd seen involved a lot of singing and dancing and positivity, and that really blew my mind. It was really good to see that and hear it, because I think North American type protesting has kind of always garnered back to the fist shaking and yelling and stuff. And it's hard to attract positive attention and empathy if all you're doing is just like emitting the anger, which is relevant, but then it's not gonna make it very approachable. And if when we protest we're being positive or musical or artistic, creative, it attracts that positive attention that people will be able to want to learn more about it and maybe help out, instead of being like, oh, don't yell at me. Because a lot of the people, especially for this issue, don't even know about it, and if they did know, they'd want to help. So yeah, the negativity doesn't really have a good place in here at all. But it also just blew me away that after so much loss, people could still be positive in addressing the subject. And it's inspired me a lot, and I just want to, take that and put that back out into the streets or wherever we're taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music and theater and dance.
Yeah.
These are a lot of our protesters are generally the more creative types: dance, theater, musicians, artists. We've seen a lot of that at Occupy already. And we should be focusing on using our creative talents to accomplish these tasks, because we're not going to fight it. We're not going to outfight who we're up against, because they've got the police on their side, military, drones, things like that. I don't want to pick a fight with that personally, but I'd like to pick a conversation, or something like that, get a dialogue started. Because I actually had a lot of really interesting conversations with officers at Occupy and stuff, and when you get a conversation going, you start to see the common threads that are in like the more like places that you wouldn't expect them, and then you realize there is hope for us to recreate our world in a way that suits everybody. Yeah, because there's a lot of valid points from either side, and it's much better for us to listen to each other. One thing I've come into in the activist mindset is collaborative instead of competitive, and this also relates to capitalism. Capitalism gets us to compete against each other, whereas if we work together for the benefit of everyone, it's less work and more fun. If we're competing, then maybe one or two people are going to get all the tokens, all the pie, and everybody else is not going to have much. And it's a good way. These are good models to look at when we're trying to work on larger projects. A lot of time when somebody comes up with a new idea in the in the capitalist framework, it's most likely that idea is going to get attacked instead of built on. I noticed that on Facebook and stuff. When somebody comes up with a new idea, it's something about like intellectual property maybe, or things like that. Like I've wanted people to feel free to use my artwork, you know, to support it, but then the idea still comes, oh, it's your idea, you have to do something with it. And I am, but at the same time, it would be so much easier if there wasn't that idea that I owned the idea, and that once it's out there, anybody can use it. So these are some of my struggles with the project as well. But I don't know. You learn every time you do something. You always learn.
Yeah, it's true. I'm learning a lot right now. That's for sure. And did you have a question?
I was just wondering, with the whole like collaborating and stuff, and when you talk about your teachings, what do you learn from the people that you are teaching, especially children, and what are they bringing to, I guess, the conversation and stuff, and what are the different feelings from people, especially, you know, when there are people who just hear about these issues for the first time that you talk to on the street, or, you know, you hand a flyer to? What are some of the emotions and the feelings that you kind of you receive, and how do you address that?
I think, you know, it's very hard, you know, because here in North America, and precisely in the West, when we're talking about capitalism and so on, it's really something very tough, because people are really attached to money. And money is like something like it's a divinity, you know. It's a God, you know. It's something like it goes beyond race, religion, and all sorts of things, you know, because people are really attached to that. So it depends if you are giving that kind of information to someone who has got money, and the way that he is getting that money from, maybe it's related to the crimes that is happening here and there, they don't want to listen to those kind of conversation, you know, because without going even outside of my religion, my race, my tribe, or, you know, just close to my own people, you know, I've noticed those things that, you know, they are aware. People are aware of what's going on, and they get money from that. So if you're going to tell them to stop, they're feeling as if you are threatening them too. You see? So what do you think you could do? Because it's something like it's life for them. You see? Some people, they don't have any reason in life than just having money. And that's pleasure of having money and having more money, and you know, having people to work for them, and all those kind of things, it's part of their life. So how would you think to change that? It's not a question of race, it's not a question of ethnicity, of sex, or whatever, or, you know, gender. So it's a question of that. So it's really very, very tough. And most of the youngest people, the vision that they have in living in this kind of society, it's how am I going to have a house, own my house, own a nice car, have this, have that, all these things. So you see the direction is still on the same way. So if they find out that this is the only way that you can get it, so they will say, so what do you want me to do? You see? They don't think in a different way. The different way is changing maybe the ideology. And if you have to be changing the ideology, it's also a hard work because you need to educate people who has been going through a kind of process, a kind of routine that they need to stop and change a different direction, making sure that they're going to be right. You see, the new things that is going to be brought to them is going to be the right thing. This is where the problem is, you know, so...
There's some fear that if they experiment with something, there might be like failure or loss.
Yeah.
Or even grief.
Yeah.
In the, you know, or even people feeling bad and judging themselves so much that they won't make a change because they are fearful of like the feelings of guilt or the feelings of making a mistake. But if we can move beyond that fear and actually like accept, you know, like everything that we are and as a culture as well as individuals, and as soon as we actually fully own that and recognize that, then maybe we can break through into new processes and experimenting and new relationships, especially with the money factor, because it is just a representation of value. It's not actually value. It's only what we perceive it to be.
Into the brainstorming, I thought about just helping people visualize a cashless society, because a lot of people can't even imagine what it would be like. Although some of us have been blessed in like experiencing brief, like, you know, either gatherings or festivals and stuff that operate on a more cashless kind of ethic, and then you see all the benefits that you get, all the human factors that replace these I don't know, these more lifeless factors of just commerce and exchange and stuff. If you let people volunteer to do the things that need to be done, then people that want to or are good at these things will do these things to provide for people, and it's more gratitude based when you do have exchanges. The one thing in my mind I'm kind of referring to is there's this festival I go to every year called the Own Festival, and they have like a note. Once you're at the festival, there's no buying or selling goes on. It's all just exchange. And like when it comes to the food, everybody brings some food donations, and then that gets cooked up by volunteers. So then there's kind of like the minimum amount of work. Everybody gets to eat. And people that like cooking are cooking. So it's all enjoyment. There's no like, oh, I wish I wasn't working right now, that kind of thing. And everybody that goes to the festival volunteers, and it's a good groundbreaking idea of if we all put in a little bit of effort, we get a lot more out of it, and everybody can enjoy their time.
Yeah, so you know, the thing is that people, in general, they do not understand something until themselves, it gets to themselves most of the time. You see, yesterday and today, maybe after this interview, I will be going to be distributing flyers on after breast cancer, because it's an organization that has been created by my sister-in-law. I was distributing flyers to women yesterday here in downtown, but I noticed that a lot of women, they were not even paying attention. You see, I was wearing a kind of a pink T-shirt and breast cancer and distribute. They were just like, we don't want it. But actually, it's a kind of something that is happening quite frequently now, you see. So people want to react only when it happens to them or it happens to someone who is close to them. Like if you say that I'm thirsty, people here in Canada most of the time they will say, oh, what is that? I've never drank water the whole day. Maybe it never happened, or maybe there was 3 days a couple of years ago, but they cannot remember about that maybe anymore. When you say that I'm hungry, a lot of people, they do not know, especially people who are wealthy, you see. But it's part of the nature. And before these people need to understand, if the lowest people do not want to understand, the nature will bring the life of everyone down to that level, so that everybody will be forced to understand. You see, so that's why we see the nature knows how to resolve all these problems without even trying to. We're trying our best to make people informed, but the nature who created us and everyone and all those wealthy people knows how to resolve those problems. That's why when they talked about the end of the world, I think on the 21st of December, a lot of people were scared, oh, it's gonna happen, something like that, No, that's not the end, It's just meaning, according to our teachings, like it's the end of an era. You see, that new era is bringing some new kind of things. That's why you see some flooding. So people, it doesn't just go to the houses of people who are poor. He goes to everyone. So if something like that, you don't have any army to stop that. You see, the power of water, the power of air, of fire. So you don't have any weapon that can stop these kind of things.
Yeah.
You see, so people, anyhow, we know, according to our prophecy, they will understand in this era. They must understand.
Hallelujah.
I like those prophecies.
As soon as possible.
Yeah. So when we hear people saying, the fight on not fight on climate change. How do they phrase that? Battling climate change.
Yeah.
Right. They're missing the point.
Yeah.
And it's about moving into a place of more awareness. It's about moving with the wind, with the water, with the earth. It's really beautiful.
Right. One thing I was recently kind of put my attention towards was that I hadn't realized about climate change, and now I think the idea is becoming more known, is that with large, like more humidity and temperature, that also brings more bacteria, and so that, like, I think the average person or wealthy person might think, oh, so what if the weather's gonna, like, if it's gonna be hotter, I have air conditioning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why should I worry? Well, maybe your immune system's not ready for all these new kinds of bacteria that are going to be showing up. and all these hippies that have been, you know, doing the yoga and detoxing and, you know, caring about their body is actually a very beneficial thing in this coming age of like, it's going to come down to a lot more like health, you know, health related risks, I guess.
Yeah.
And then people are not attached to their air conditioning everywhere they walk, you know. You can be in your house or in your car, in your office, but as far as you're going to get out somewhere, you know, you're not attached to the air conditioning. That is going
nobody
to
lives in a complete bubble.
There are some people who do.
Well, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Conceptual bubble.
There was this documentary, just to make this whole long story short, but there's a documentary about Canadian weather, and they were saying how a lot of Canadians just completely go from their underground driveway in their car to their office to their condo. They never actually experience the cold winter weather because they're never leaving these confines of heat and air conditioning and stuff. So it's pretty wild how desensitized a lot of people have become to all this and just blocking it off and got these blinders on.
Well, I spent the winter 2011, most of it was still outdoors. My friend and I had a camp set up at an undisclosed location, but used a lot of insulating, you know, ideas and stuff like that. But yeah, like Canadian winters are definitely like, even as far south as Toronto, it's still can get pretty chilly, uncomfortable, I guess.
But it's interesting because in the documentary, I believe it was on the nature of things, they talk about how there's a lot of cultures where they really embrace the coldness, like in Russia, and like, you know, they take it on and they have a lot of fun with it, right? Like it's something they celebrate. But here it's something we immediately dread, and it's just the whole vibes around it is completely just such a downer to it all. It's like
I kind of look forward to it more and more every year as I realize that I might have to like live in Canada for well, until we get rid of borders, you know.
I personally totally recognize that my ancestors come from very northern places, because I much prefer the cold to the heat, especially the stuff that we're feeling today. I get quite aggravated in it, and it's relatively cool in here, and I think that that's part of this like new age that we've entered into, is this recognition of your own self and acclimatizing to this new experience of what it means to be like in Canada in the middle of summer, and then the dynamics that happen, and how do we adjust and deal with the different weather patterns that are happening and they're going to continue to happen.
Well, and I noticed again this year the weather was a little bit more dramatic. Like last spring was very warm early on. This spring was a lot colder, and we've seen a lot more extreme weather. Like Alberta was flooded, you know, a lot of it. And the funny thing is, though, if it doesn't happen in your city, it's easier to like kind of not tune into it. But I think it is definitely getting more extreme, more than people might realize. And I would hope, though, that as some of this sets in, that it kind of drives home the fact that we need to get rid of emissions, and we have all the technology to fix all these problems. We have emissions-free technology that would also be free for people. Like, you know, it's like, if it doesn't hit you environmentally, it'll hit you economically. That this could be a lot easier, but the same companies, you know, that have been in place for hundreds of years now, or at least 100, have, you know, no interest in letting go of the income that they're getting off of these dirty industries. And again, the onus comes back to us, the people, and we'd actually have to, you know, grassroots style, you know, build up our own factories even to make these technologies available that would essentially save our behinds.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it, but it's an absolutely the quote I'm gonna totally bash, but mess up. I mean, but it's ridiculous to think that we. Oh, Chris, you can get it. You can get better than I can. It's a ridiculous thing to think that we can't afford to save ourselves and our planet. Like, we can't afford
It's very,
yeah.
It's pretty funny when you say it that way.
Yeah. That actually gets me thinking that we should do an investigation into Toronto Hydro.
Yes.
And the history of Toronto Hydro, because I think that there'd be some pretty good people in our history that were trying to bring free energy, and because of, like, family compact, there was a corporate sort of imposition. So all of a sudden we didn't have free electricity anymore. But that'll be for another day.
It's a very deep well to go into.
Deep well, yeah. I think deep rabbit. Chris, do you have a point on that subject?
The guy who made Castle, he had a 30-year contract actually on bringing energy into the city the first time hydroelectricity dams were created, actually from Niagara Falls. Because Niagara Falls was actually a twin city of Toronto. They were very much in business together. And so Sir Henry Powlett, the guy who made the castle, he had a really good relationship with Tesla. And then, so he has this 30-year contract, also in business with the Home Bank, which was one of the last banks that actually completely failed and had to go to the government. The government bailed everybody out, yada, yada, yada. It's a really, really long story. But at the end of it, so he has this 30-year contract bringing hydroelectricity to the city for a lot cheaper rates than anybody else. Because the water that gets created to create the energy for all of pretty much Ontario and Canada was declared like it's a human resource, it's everybody's resource. So they couldn't actually charge anyone for electricity. But where like the corporations took over was, well, you have to get that electricity from Niagara Falls to here. So what they ended up owning is the lines that bring it here.
Means of transportation.
And so he ends up making this castle, he ends up making a lot of the buildings in here. His office was beside the Toronto Stock Exchange. He was like the richest guy in his entire, like in Ontario pretty much in general. And he had the closest relationship with the monarchy. And then all of a sudden, he goes bankrupt. And William Lyon Mackenzie King becomes prime minister, who's his business partner. And then Sir Henry Powlett gets like taken to court for like, I don't know, just bankruptcy, and all his money gets stolen, and the bank that he's invested in goes broke. And he's like, nobody ends up living with his chauffeur. And William Lyon Mackenzie King is prime minister for like, I think he served more times than anybody else in the history of Canada. He has a huge building, which is right beside the life insurance, the Canada Life Insurance building. He still has like a huge investment corporation to this day. And like, where's Sir Henry Powlett? And when you go and learn about Castle Loma, you learn about this guy who created this castle. You learn nothing about his history and what he provided to the city. His wife started Girl Guides, Boy Scouts, created the first women's lawyer association. Like, this guy was a good dude. Like, he was making a lot of money, but he was giving it back to the city.
He understood those principles, yeah.
And then all of a sudden he disappears from the map. And his business partners, become prime minister and huge rich family compacting. So specifically with the whole energy thing and Ontario, I actually think there's a lot of stuff that's really hidden. Because you can't walk into a Toronto, like a City of Toronto library, and look up Sir Henry Powlett and get anything about his business. The only thing you're going to learn is that he built a giant castle when he was a prick. And to my investigative journalism, that's not the truth. So I think there's a lot in our history that's super hidden, especially with the Home Bank. He's the Home Bank, the Toronto Home Bank, which was the first bank that collapsed in the city. And it was a bank that was specifically created for the Irish immigrants that came here. They didn't have a lot of money at the time. And back then you needed like $1,000 to actually start a bank account. And if you couldn't write checks, then you really couldn't really get along in society because it wasn't cash or credit, it was really checks. I'll write you a check for my groceries, this, that, and the next thing. So without a bank account, it was a way of control to keep you down and keep you impoverished. So all of a sudden, I don't know, people take advantage of the bank, and there's no money there for all the poor people. And then they rip down the giant housing corporation that they actually had, which was by the Post Basilica. Where the Post Basilica is on Tower Street, where they ended up creating the DVP coming into the city. That used to be a giant housing complex for all the Irish immigrants. And they just it's like they erased this whole period of history and covered it up. And then when you go and look at the Toronto Home Bank, all their contracts and all the stuff at Osgood Hall, so all the things that they took to court, it's all private. You can't get any of it. It's all really hidden. You need specific proper permissions to go into the Osgood Hall and get all the records. There's some really slimy things that I think have happened specifically around the energy issue, because it was actually the first resource that was declared owned by the people, specifically with the energy portion of things.
It's funny also the thing about them owning the means of getting the electricity to the city, the power lines, because that's another thing that could be one of these free energy paradigms is some wind experts reasoned that it was actually one of the expensive parts of making wind energy available is building the structure to get the propeller high enough. Now we have all these giant metal towers that are holding up the grid that we could have wind things right on top of, and this is next to the highway. The noise isn't going to bother anybody. We could be getting all this free energy on the grid itself, as well as the electricity coming from hydro dams. But it still comes down to the companies that, own these things and won't allow us to use them as the people. Maybe under a more socialist structure we'd be able to. But.
Yeah, could you imagine just coming back down to fulfilling the needs of people? And could you imagine if energy was free? All of a sudden there's a lot of time and resources available for us to be thinking more and doing more.
Enriching our lives. And each other's and helping, more people.
Yeah.
If we looked at things in time instead of money, if you looked at how we could get more free time, then it becomes a lot easier and more fun. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have more free time than a job, which I do right now. And I use my free time to do my activism. At the same time, now I'm kind of starting to think about getting a part-time job so I can fund some of these things, because again, money doesn't come from nowhere. But
although I've been thinking about starting our own complementary currency. Wouldn't that be fun too? Totally. I mean, there's a lot going on, and I would love to do a full interview and research about the Canadian Tire Money, because Canadian Tire Money is one of the most popular complementary currencies in the world. Mm-hmm. But I think they're even underestimating the awesomeness that it is. So if we look at that and play around, then maybe we can experiment with some things. Maybe we could do a fundraiser just for Canadian Tire Money.
Get all the stuff that we need.
Yeah.
Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
Well, and people have no qualms donating Canadian Tire Money if they have it lying around. Mm-hmm. One of the things relating back to Invisible Criminals is the next phase of the project. I need to somehow garner around $1,000 is what I'm looking at to get the first load of T-shirts. I'm getting these fair trade organic shirts from India that support children in India, and that's why they cost $9 a shirt instead of $1 a shirt from something made in Bangladesh that's got all those kind of issues. And then my friend has the silk screens. We have the paints and stuff. So right now I've been trying to look into different investment like people that would want to invest. So if anybody's watching and you feel like being a hero, $1,000 to Invisible Criminals. I don't even have a bank account. You'd have to deal with like people from here or something like that. But I want to get this project started. There's stores in Toronto that will carry the shirts and stuff. And then, yeah, $10 from each shirt would go to the Ponzi Hospital. And then the other $10 is going to the children in India. So it's a pretty good, awesome project.
So
I might not even, I'm toying with the idea of not profiting at all, just to send the message like how urgent these matters are.
I hear you. So where would people send money to help get the shirts made?
Well, maybe just get in a dialogue with me and I can figure that part out. Well, actually, the money would go to Hemp Tent. HempTent.com, that's the company that I'm working with for the t-shirts, and they're based out of Parry Sound.
Okay. What's their website?
HempTent.com.
HempTent.com.
Yeah, like a tent made out of hemp.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if they, you know, like we all just in conversation, and then maybe we can get these shirts done before the summer is done. And
yeah. I still want to be able to go. Well, actually, my reasons for travel also would be to set up the shirts in Montreal and Vancouver as well, maybe even Halifax. Travel's not an issue for me. I'm an expert hitchhiker. And food's not an issue for me either. I'm an expert dumpster diver. So I don't have any overhead personally, but as a struggling musician, it's actually really hard to make money for me. You know, and I didn't think it was that hard, and then reality comes in and is like, if you're not willing to, like, you know, be devious or whatever, then you don't get to make money in a lot of these situations. I don't know.
well, we are here, I think, in this little conversation, in this exchange, we're starting the process, or even continuing the process of healing that relationship, and recognizing what money actually is and how it should serve humanity instead of enslave humanity, and releasing the shackles of debt, slavery, and all that good stuff. Letting go, and finding new paths and experiences, like you were saying at the festival, the Festival, and there's some other festivals that do this as well, where it's a gifting economy, and recognizing that economy is really sociology. So we're committing sociology today, people. Here we go. Yes. So I just sort of want to wrap it up. And I was wondering if you had any other final comments or notes, suggestions, questions.
I've got some music I could play. I did bring my violin. I don't have any songs that relate to this project finished yet, but I do have a song about green activism that I called Ecotistical.
I don't think we actually set up the space for music, but we could.
Turn it on, maybe?
Yeah,
I can do that next time.
Yeah.
Okay. Save that for a whole musical thing.
We do have, I think, a video from Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton
as well.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not quite yet. I just want to I want it to be like the end, because we're experimenting too. This is our 4th week. Doing this, and it's going pretty well. And today we were being mirrored on Occupy World News Now, as well as the Toronto News Network. I'm sorry, I got your name wrong. I have it on my texting machine. Speaking of invisible criminals, there is a benefit to the communications technology.
Yes.
And
this is actually one last point I'd like to make is, don't just rush to throw out your phone when you find out these things, because there's been a lot of energy going into these pieces of relatively smart technology, and they are powerful tools to help us as empowered activists or just good people. It's good to be connected to other people. It's good to have the tools to make yourself more effective. So if anything, you know, it's good to get like those little protectors to like make sure that these things last longer. As I see that there's a shattered screen on this one.
I know. It fell on its own. It
Yeah.
wasn't my fault.
This is another thing I've actually considered as another fundraising opportunity is make invisible criminal, you know, protectors or whatever, something like that.
I would use one of those.
Exactly. I just got to ask the right company, I guess.
There's something online.
Yeah, exactly. Small business is definitely the way to go. I found with the t-shirts, Emily, the woman who's working with us, because it's a smaller company, they have a lot more capacity to care and to follow up on that, do as they will with, you know, their energy. Last little plug for Fairphone. When it does hit North America, you know, don't hesitate to get one. It's going to support a good cause. If you don't already have one, if you already have a phone, just treat it well, and you know, and maybe send a couple angry letters to its makers.
I kind of feel like I want to like campaign BlackBerry. I mean, I would switch from this to BlackBerry myself if they were to come out with something that was fair and responsible. So
yeah, well, BlackBerry right now is one of the worst polluters of the phone companies. So if they were able to turn that around, and not be polluting the water and hurting dolphins and stuff, I was thinking Blueberry would be a good concept for that. Yeah. Yeah. And then or Fairberry, you know. Yeah.
BlackBerry, you listening?
Are you listening?
Are you listening? This
Free
is
ideas,
awesome.
unpatented ideas right now.
I know, and you heard about that. You know, like we're not owning these ideas.
Yeah.
Take them.
I think we should do this field trip soon, though. I think that's a good idea.
Totally.
Yeah, I like it.
Waterloo.
The perimeter center.
Yeah. All right. Any last words from you?
The last thing that I can say is that, you know, people who are devoted to help all these things happening, most of them actually they do, in generality, they do not have jobs. They are people that really inspired. And most of the things is that sometimes people they think that if you want to do something, you need to have money. It's not money first. It's first of all what you are supposed to do first, then will bring you up at all level. See, so you know, Dodge, I know him. You know, I find you know, I met him, and you know, I'm having the same kind of life. You know, I do not have a permanent job or something like that, but I just come to this country. Just it's gonna be 4 years now, but I find my way how to live in this country, finding my own jobs, my own things to do to get to live here. You know, so it's something very important. So everything it comes from the inspiration, and I think that he's not going to be left out. So I think he's gonna get what he needs to you know, to push this work at the level desired. So everyone who's supposed to be contributing to this this kind of awakening, they're going to be going through some of the tribulations, you know. So it's gonna happen, and the most important is that, you know, to keep their vision and you know, be focused on it, and you know, they will find the light. You know, they find the light.
Thank you. Yeah.
So.
And thank you for following your passion and fulfilling your heart's desire.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
and
you.
for being here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, Kamambuko.
Yeah.
And Doug. Awesome. And thank you all for watching. We're gonna. There's the rest.
Thanks everybody here.
Thanks.
Yay.
Thanks.
You're awesome. Keep being inspired.
We're awesome.
Yeah, we're awesome.
And you, the listeners.
Love it. So we're going to play some music, and I think we might also air the viral clip that's of the young Egyptian. I think Nahum brought it up. All right, well, we'll play the music, and then we'll see you on the other side with Mark Manuel. Wow. Yes. Another one down.
Lovenga, barenga, lovenga, karesenga, banda yopesanga besena kumananga, kilau, ekomisanga kwiti longola motalanga masanga, nalango ebolingwa ninelo kemba, nalango ebolingwa na yo amu, ngula tuni mama na ye, pourquoi monokono nde monai, mama zongiseli eskia, zela yo kokola. Lovenga, barenga, lovez-moi, caressenga. Ba souffrance, na ba plaisir, yanga na yo, na mama ni nelo kemba. Nazangi maloba ya kolobela ye, nengera komi baba mawananga etikali na motema. Ba souffrance, yanga imoto basona samba na batsoye. Malembe na moka ba dinosaure elenga bonne kanginga miso muke mona ve nakoki mpe kozwa masasi ya bachasser nina ninele 4 points Didombaba ingénieur full Jipekis Kyung Oinjectenga tonga ya bolingo na cerveau Opelisinga maladi d'Alzheimer Borel, Cosimanto Basbeni nyonso esepasi na bongo nanga Nzwangane Na bosani nyonso natikali kaka se na yo moko Jean-Biki nanga motema malamu Lovenga Nina Caressez-moi Caressez-moi Lovenga Caressez-moi PDG Caressez-moi Ogemba Adolphe Nsimba Fule Lukisi Balitra mai bapesaki bango Nzoka batondaki te Sikoyo tomemi bango na lisiba Ya komelezali ya kosokola pesi Oh yeah Que la justice est pas matata ni kamo ya ngana yo Fula zaiti le pona matwani bomba ya Ben Ngombo Japon Papito Mbala Dade Poko Masaya Mimi Chikeva Milkshake Santiago la Adide Molise Mosengi na Ernene Kaba Chouchou Eradi Chou Mateta Lorisa la Congolaise Gaïta Sandoko Mikens Bayaka Bourgeois Chantika Songo La foule noire pour les œufs blancs Lisi Bayangoyo Les œufs blancs font les coques noires Minel, si tu ne penses pas que mes pensées passent à tes pensées Alors fais penser que mes pensées passent à tes pensées Minel Fais des locaux à l'industriel Minel aux amours maranga Okemba ozali pierre précieuse nanga Arimachi étoile à Congo Minene ozali ama Joli malade Nayebi balulaka yo banzela tu yo lekaka Ozaki talatala moto nyonso luka amimona Nakotisi dose yanga na yo na kursi fe Que la justice est pas bakata likambo yanga na Minata la Switzerland, Arnaud Technologie, José Kongolomaya Pembe,
Patrick Makoda Bois Papa Nakaili, Daningi Vula, intelligente architecte Simon Moussibondo. Gay Mamadou,
Eric Kaboza,
Colonel Safari Beach, le grand producteur Claude Moussaï.
Alice Mwati,
Aziz Alombi,
Malumboka Miss Bomolo,
Nati Mona lisusu nini bandeko ninelo kemba
ya Florent Miokono, le général de Kabila, Daniel Westwood,
corps coordinateur Brad Pitt, Angelina Kidjo, Jolie Mayala, Adilchador Angelos,
Jimmy Show Anjo, Oyoki Bill Clinton,
Cardozo Mwamba Wankena, Didi Kinwani, Casa Grande, Baudelaire Kouyena, les millionnaires du cinquantenaire. Ninelanga chéri, Ninelanga Kemba, Beba Papa, Okemba, spécial, Jean-Dominique Okemba, Bosco Sakata,
Bim, Yokono Likamuna Kutel, Nabane Goya Nanzela Namon Bapeti Batoni et Bene, par curiosité na tuni
Aïcha Ndaya.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Oh non, l'histoire n'a pas zalega moko. On koyi, abo kolia misuni, a préféré kolia na matiti.
Même Alice, c'est la jolibilité. Ah, faire motuno tuninge salinga pasi. Pona komona nyama makasi bongo, akoma faible eza na tina. Soit akomi mokolo, papi mokala. Ou bien aza susu na minote, cerveau électronique. Mais basalela ke benga nzoko cercueil te. Noki okosala perte ya mabaya. Alpha Ngungu Château d'Eau, Chéri Gola, Max Zulema, Nicole Machuda, Christelle Kianda, Roger Bouchiri, Engana Kamibawae, Nathalie Kalonji, Mama Nabila, Mama Bane, Mwana Bioma, Jacques Mobambola Motomonene, Fabrice Lombolo,
Osis Malto,
Maître ancien Jésus d'électro, Kadi Kadi Mawetu, jeune boss tonton Kalambai, Jérémy et Biafra, les deux associés, Pascal Chioka, Edom Bengi, boss Babi, président JP Oniense, Nixon Boutique, Chéri Bolongo, Telin Koui, Gino Ilunga Fantasme, Patrick Baraka, Gay Mamadou.
أنا جاي النهاردة عشان أرفض إن مصر تكون عزبة حد أو ملك أي حد، وعشان أرفض إن الدستور يتسيطر عليه من جماعة وفلسطين مهما كان. إحنا ما خرجناش من دولة عسكرية عشان نخرج لفاشية دينية.
يعني فاشية دينية ده أنا معرفش يعني إيه فاشية أصلا.
يعني إن فاشية دينية هي إن أنت تستخدم الدين اللي أنت عايزه وتتشدد في الدين وتعمل حاجات باسم الدين، والدين ما بيتقش كل دوت.
مين علمك الكلام ده في الازهر ولا انت؟
لا انا
عارفه منين؟
بسمع كلام من ناس كتير، وانا عن نفسي ليا عقل ووعي يعني. بقرا جرايد، بخش على النت.
انت شايف ايه علي مش حلو في البلد وعايزه يتغير؟
سياسيا ولا اجتماعيا؟ اجتماعيا لازم مطالب الصوت تتحقق، عيش وحرية وعدالة اجتماعية وكمان سنية. العيش مفيش خالص، الحرية لسه الشرطة بتسحل الناس في السجون. العدالة الاجتماعية ازاي يبقى مذيع بياخد 30 مليون جنيه وفي ناس بتاكل بالزبالة؟ سياسيا فين الدستور اللي بيعبر عننا؟ الدستور اللي يبقى فيه نساء نص المجتمع اصلا، نساء نص مجتمع مصر. ازاي يبقى ممثلين في الدستور 7 سيدات و6 منهم إخوان.
حاسسهم يعني هيعملوا حاجة في الدستور.
ما بني على باطل فهو باطل. حتى لو الدستور حلو وتشكيل وحش يبقى يطلع وحش. ما انت ما تجيبليش 80 مادة مضاد وتجيب لي 20 مادة هيبوظوا البلد وتقول لي ده دستور.
شفت المسودة يا علي؟ قريتها فين على الانترنت؟
بيقول لك ان الست زي الرجل في كل حاجة فيما لا يخالف احكام الشريعة الاسلامية. طب في حاجة احكام الشريعة الاسلامية بتجوز ان الراجل يأدب مراته ودوت ما يجوزش في المجتمع.
ليه المشكلة؟
لا ما ينفعش، يعني انا ما اجيش اقرب مراتي اسحلها وتبقى على وشك الموت وتقول لي ده تأديب. ده مش تأديب، ده عبط واستعباط. باطل لانه اصلا مجلس الشعب اللي عمله كان باطل. كان باطل دستوريا وشعبيا وكل حاجه. واحنا كلنا عارفين كان قايم على ايه؟ كان قايم على استخدام الدين في السياسه، ودعاة المساجد كانوا بيرشدوا تيار معين، وكان قايم على الزيت والسكر، كان قايم على حاجات كتير.
All of them started sort of like agreeing the idea about objective media.
Was I